in the place where its name was derived from Calan and Banga, the Calamba Laguna. There was a married couple who are most influential. Don Francisco Rizal Mercado, a prosperous landowner, sugar and rice planter, a well-educated farmer, and Doña Chudora Rialonda Alonso, one of the most highly educated in the Philippines, a poet, fine mathematician, gourmet cook, interior decorator, and collector of fine books from Ilocano, Tagalog, Chinese, Spanish descent. They are the parents of Saturnina, the eldest, Pasiano, the eldest boy in the family, Narcisa, Olympia, and Lucia. Doña Chudora was 9 months pregnant and was about to give birth to their 7th child.
Pasiano! Mother! Pasiano! Mother! Please, call your father. Mas lapit ko, Pasiano. Tingnan ko, mother. Mother! Mother! Chudora! I'm about to give birth. Pasiano, call a midwife.
As Chudora was giving birth, she almost lost her life. On the 19th of June 1861, between 11 and 12 in the evening, Chudora gave birth to the national hero of the Philippines.
It's a boy! What name will you give to this child? We will call him Jose.
Rizal was baptized by Father Rufino Colliantes, while Father Pedro Casañas stood as Rizal's godfather.
¿Qué nombre dar a tu hijo? Jose Rizal Mercado. El padrino de sostener de Brazil. Bautizar al niño, el Padre, el Hijo, el Espíritu Santo. Amén.
Jose grew well in the family. At the age of 3, Rizal learned the alphabet and the prayers from his mother, Chudora Alonso, who was his first teacher. At the age of 5, Rizal was able to read the Spanish family Bible, Historia Sagrada. And at the age of 7, Rizal wrote a comedy for the local fiesta.
Ute! Ute! Ute!
Oh, I'm sorry, Brother Pasiano, Sister Lucia. I was deeply immersed in my writing.
It's okay, Jose. By the way, are you done writing it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's go and show it to the municipal captain.
Good day, Captain.
Oh, it's you, Pepe. Good to see you. You too, Lucia and Pasiano. Captain, my little brother has something to give you.
Captain, this is a comedy that I've written.
This is so good, Pepe. Here, Pepe. This is my reward to you. Use this in our castle to have some fun.
Gracias, Captain.
When he was 9 years of age, Jose Rizal was sent to a boys' school in Binyan where his uncle Jose Alberto lived, after whom he had been named. His teacher was Dr. Justiniano Aquino Cruz. A few months, Jose was instructed to go home for Christmas vacation, for he had learned all there was to be taught.
Jose, you should go home.
What do you mean by that, Professor?
You are smart and top-flight student, and I have no more lesson to teach you.
Gracias por todo, Professor. Mother!
Oh, my boy!
Why is your vacation so early, Jose? It's the 17th in December. Christmas Day is a long way from now.
Why are you here, Jose?
Father, my professor told me that I have learned all there was to be taught.
Are you saying that you're smarter than your professor now? Huh? Come here, you should go back to school. What brings you here, Senor Francisco? My son came home early. Hani is saying that he had learned all there was taught about. Jose Rizal is a top-flight student, and he indeed completed all the work that was offered. Good job, Jose. You are truly his son.
One late night, while Rizal's mother, Doña Chudora, was narrating the parable of the moth, the young Jose was inattentive to the story. His attention instead was focused on the moth encircling the tongue of the flame of the oil lamp.
Jose, are you listening?
Yes, mother.
Are you? If you do not adhere to the advice of your parents or old people, you become like the moth that burned itself in the fire.
Sorry, mother.
So, what lesson did you understand from the parable and from the moth that you're watching?
The moth was attracted to the burning flame, and he thought he could conquer it. So the moth pushed himself to the burning flame and got burned. The moth died a martyr by his own illusion, and he thought that he conquered the burning flame, but it did not.
At a young age, Rizal gained inspiration from the parable. He learned that it is not impossible to conquer insurmountable odds and be martyr in reality, but never in illusion. When Rizal was 11 years of age, his father Francisco decided that Rizal will attend the prestigious Ateneo Municipal de Manila in Intramuros. On February 17, 1872, 3 priests were executed for inciting mutiny in Cavite against the government. One of these was Father Jose Burgos, Pasiano's beloved teacher. These 3 men were called Gomburza. One day, Jose saw his brother Pasiano, who looked forlorn.
Are you okay? It seems that there's something's bothering you.
I was just thinking about my teacher.
Why? What happened to Father Jose Burgos?
He was convicted of inciting mutiny and uprising civil or political authority.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay, I'm just worried also.
During Jose's 2-year stay in Ateneo, his mother was imprisoned in Santa Cruz. Doña Chudora was accused of allegedly conspiring with her brother Jose Alberto to poison his wife. When Governor General Rafael Izquierdo happened to be visiting Calamba, some girls danced for his entertainment. One of them was so pretty and did her steps so charmingly.
What present can I give you, charming little dancer?
Oh, please, Governor. Release my mother from the prison.
Who is this little girl's mother? Set her free!
Her mother was at once released and the case dismissed without a trial. While attending Ateneo, Rizal developed into a first-rate student. He was remembered as an original thinker, a creative scholar, and a natural reader. The most noticeable change in Rizal's education was his mastery in Spanish.
Un día maravilloso.
One night, when Rizal decided to visit his parents in Calamba, he stepped out into a dark street as a man was passing by. He failed to see that the passerby was one of the civil guards, and so he did not salute. As he continued walking, he was struck at the back with a sword by the said civil guard.
Why did you struck me?
The civil guard did not answer, so Rizal left and went home. When he reached their home, his family saw his wound and began to panic.
Oh my God, Jose! What happened to you? You're bleeding!
I was struck.
Dios mío! Go to the doctor! Hurry!
When Rizal recovered from his wound, he went to the authorities and complained. The authorities informed him that the civil guards was just doing their duty and he should be thankful that he is still alive. After a while, Rizal went back to Ateneo. Rizal heard a poetry competition which had been organized for the Filipinos by the Manila Lyceum of Art and Literature. He submitted a poem which won first prize, a silver pen for his poem entitled To the Filipino Youth.
What are those? This book titled The Council of God is very stupendo de Peru.
Sí, I agree. Marpuro, no po. Estoy entregado.
Su hombre es Jose Rizal. Espera un minuto. Isn't he a Filipino? Jose Rizal, creo. He is a Filipino.
Well, we can't let a Filipino win in this competition.
Oh, espera. Creo.
As the Spanish judges came up with their decision, they decided to let the Spanish author's poem win instead of Rizal's. Jose Rizal secretly left the country aboard a ship called SS Salvator. When he reached Barcelona, he came into contact with Filipinos who were plotting a revolution. but Rizal's mind was set only in favor of education. Rizal's essay El Amor Patrio, which means love of country, appeared in a Manila newspaper called Diaryong Tagalog. He was able to explain his views through this essay, emphasizing that the Philippines is the country for Filipinos and not for Spain. Rizal became a part of a Filipino student organization known as Círculo Hispano-Filipino. The organization was able to publish the Revista del Círculo Hispano-Filipino, a newspaper aimed at expressing thoughts about the abusive Spanish government. Rizal joined the worldwide fraternity called Freemasonry, which preaches the sacred principles of liberty and equality among all men. He used Dimasalang as his symbolic name. Rizal was a Freemason who condemned the corrupt ways of church and state, and he upheld individual and national liberty. When Rizal was in Paris, he advanced his studies in ophthalmology. He continued his medical studies under the tutelage of the famed French ophthalmologist Dr. Louis de Wecker. After a few months, Rizal opted to advance his studies in Germany. In Heidelberg, he had a special training under Dr. Otto Becker, an eminent German ophthalmologist. While continuing his medical studies in Germany, Rizal heard of an Austrian scholar named Ferdinand Blumentritt.
Esteemed sir, having heard that your lordship is studying our language, and that you have already published some work on the subject, take the liberty of sending you a valuable book written in the language by a countryman of mine. The Spanish version is mediocre because the author is only a modest writer, but the Tagalog portion is good.
Blumentritt in turn reciprocated with a gift of 2 books. He decided to send another letter to Blumentritt.
Very esteemed sir, I received your letter together with a book that I value very much. I read them with great pleasure and satisfaction.
The two continued exchanging letters about their scholarly endeavors. In Blumentritt, Rizal found a friend and teacher. They plotted together for the independent future of the Philippines. Noli Me Tangere was finished in Berlin, but Rizal was desperate then, for he had no money to publish his book.
My money is scarce. Maybe I should just eat once a day. Bread and coffee is all that I can afford.
Due to his misery, Rizal confided to his old friend Fernando Canon about the dark period.
I did not believe that Noli Me Tangere would ever be published. I was in Berlin, heartbroken, weakened, and discouraged from hunger and deprivations. I was on the point of throwing my work into the fire as a thing accursed and fit only to die.
Good morning, sir. A telegram from Madrid came for you.
Thank you.
I have heard of your struggles, and I decided to help you in your endeavor to publish your book. I am on my way to visit Berlin and would like to keep in touch with you.
Rizal was revived. The telegram gave him new hope. Thanks to the providential help of Maximo Viola, Noli Me Tangere appeared a few weeks later. After 6 months of staying in Calamba, Rizal left Manila for Hong Kong due to the controversy surrounding his book Noli Me Tangere and allegory book criticisms of Philippines' life under Spanish colonization rule. In Hong Kong, Rizal was welcomed by Filipinos who lived there who were exiled after the Cavite Mutiny and the martyrdom of the Gomburza.
I hope you enjoy your stay here.
Thank you, I will.
We're glad to see you here.
Me too.
Rizal, tell us if you need something.
I'm sure, my friend. Thank you.
Japan was Rizal's next destination after Hong Kong. Being a lover of beauty, Rizal was impressed by Japan's beautiful scenery. A highlight of Rizal's stay in Japan was his romance to a Japanese woman.
Konnichiwa. あなたの名前は?
Konnichiwa, watashi mo namae wa? What is your name?
私の名前はホ Jose Rizal.
Rizal and his Japanese friend arrived in San Francisco. His arrival in this country was marred by racial prejudice, for he saw the discriminatory treatment of the Chinese and the Negroes by the white Americans. Rizal reached London and wrote his old friend Dr. Karl Ulmer of Heidelberg this interesting letter about his departure from the Philippines.
I should probably remain in London for a couple of years. The friars wanted to persecute me, but they do not know how to get me. They urged my exile, but I at any rate once more in a free land, breathing the free air of Europe. My countrymen considered me lucky to escape from the Philippines unharmed. Nevertheless, I will go back.
La Solidaridad is an organization aimed to increase Spanish awareness to the needs of the Filipinos and to propagate a closer relationship between Philippines and Spain. Mariano Ponce is a new friend who loved Rizal's work and wanted him to be part of the directorship.
Rizal, my friend, please accept the position as the head of this organization. Many of the Filipinos wanted you to be one.
I'm sorry, my friend, but there are others who are ambitious for the position. Besides, the doing of the other candidates hurts me.
The man finally chosen to head La Solidaridad was Graciano Lopez Saena, while Rizal is unanimously elected as honorary president. Marcelo H. Del Pilar and Mariano Ponce were chosen as associate editors. The newspaper published by the organization is not only articles and essays about economic, cultural, political, and social conditions of the country, but also current news, both local and foreign. Ad speeches of prominent Spanish leaders about the Philippines were also included.
Rizal wrote a letter to a young woman in Malolos who had dared to hoot at some disputable friars.
We ought to be reasonable and open our eyes. Especially ought you women, because you are the first in influencing the conscience of men. Bear in mind that a good woman must bring up her son in a way becoming the image of the true God.
Rizal's family experienced trials and persecution because of his book Noli Me Tangere. An example of this was about the Turkey controversy.
Can I ask you a favor, since we are close enough?
Yes, sir. Anything for you, sir?
Can I have your turkey?
Sir, I'm sorry, but I have none to spare. Nearly all of them have died.
You will pay for this!
A few days later, Jose's family received a paper written by a manager.
I knew a reason why our land was being dismantled, because no other tenant received such a notice.
Since you have too much income from the land, the machine for making sugar, the rental that is twice the rate.
No, it's unfair for me, sir. I will file a case for this.
Jose's father appealed to the courts and finally lost houses, land, machinery, all for a turkey. And the story of Rizal's family illustrates the insolence and oppression of the fight between Spanish landlords and Filipino tenants. From Saturnina came terrible news that their parents were ordered to get out of their home. They were told that this action was required by the order of dispossession and ejectment against them. They have been evicted and dispossessed of all their land, homes, animals, and harvests of sugar, rice, and other fruits of their labors. The sufferers from these atrocities exceeded 300 families, now destitute. Jose Rizal began to gather his beloved ones in Hong Kong despite the difficulties. The aged couple found Hong Kong a real heaven.
I want to die here. I never wanted to return to Calamba. Life there is impossible.
We should stay here to be reunited again for once.
We should be thankful for Pepe for his good, so our nanay could get her operation for blindness.
Jose Rizal performed an operation on the cataracts which had grown in his mother's eyes. After the operation, his mother could see with both eyes, and they were very happy for the good news for their mother. A new governor-general named Eulogio Despojol, second Governor de la Torre, proclaimed a fine-sounding program of reforms. His first few months in position, he gave Filipinos ground and hope. On his birthday, he canceled an order banishing 13 of 17 relatives and followers of Rizal exiled in Jolo. His big fiesta was held in Malacañang Palace. Hundreds of prominent people Filipino came with tendering gifts. Rizal made his preparations to leave for Manila in spite of the frantic opposition of friends and relatives.
I have decided. I cannot take the cruelty of friars any longer. I will go back to Manila and Lucia will accompany me.
Rizal, you should think this through. I don't think it is wise for you to go back in Manila. Even Antonio opposes at your return.
I do not care what Antonio says. I will go back to Manila.
Rizal, por favor, escucha. Even our own sister Trinidad opposes at your return. She's begging you to stay here. She fears that if you go back to Manila, you might be killed.
Suficiente! I have made up my mind. I am going back to Manila.
Rizal and Lucia boarded the ship. Little did they know that they were both walking into a trap set by the Spanish Consul General and Governor General Despojol. They planned to conduct an inquiry checking if Rizal had become a German citizen or not.
Governor General Despojol, they have walked in our trap.
Finally, Rizal, we have you now. Let me see you try to escape us now. Search them. Check if the idiota is a German citizen or not.
Governor General, Rizal is still a Filipino citizen.
Bueno, charge him immediately of anti-religious and anti-patriotic campaigns of education.
Very well, Governor General. Eres culpable por campañas antirreligiosas y antipatriotas de educación.
They thought that they had outsmarted Rizal. Little did they know that Rizal had anticipated their treachery and left behind 2 letters. When Rizal and Lucia disembarked in Manila, they were met by several carabineers and a major.
Major, they are clean.
King, you may go now.
Major, I have found a mysterious package in one of their belongings.
This is a package of seditious paper. Trayage el Gobernador rapidamente. What is this? You have found this among the belongings of Rizal. This is perfect.
On the night of Rizal's arrival in Manila, Rizal held a meeting with distinguished leaders including Apolinario Mabini and Andres Bonifacio. He outlined his plan for the La Liga Filipina.
As you all know, when I was in Hong Kong, Basa and all the other supporters wrote 5 purposes for the Constitution of the Liga Filipina. I already sent some copies here in the Philippines for you to critique. Apolinario, would you please kindly read the 5 purposes?
Todo el mundo escucha. The 5 purposes are unity of the whole archipelago into one compact, vigorous, and homogeneous body. And second, mutual protection of every grievance and need. Third, defense against violence and injustice. Fourth, encouragement of instruction, industrial and agricultural enterprises. And lastly, study of reforms, putting them into practice.
Now you have heard the organization's purposes. You must be careful. Even if the Constitution does not have a seditious sentence, the fact that it began among the member of the Masonic Order in Manila, which resembles the secret organization, Masonry, is enough to bring the Liga Filipina under the suspicion of the Spanish government.
Why can't we just attack the friars now so that all of us will be free from their cruelty?
Andres, we can't. We must be patient. There's a time for everything.
Andres, I promise you our country will be free someday, but it will take time. You must heed my words. You must guard in absolute secrecy the decisions of the League Council. And you must not submit to humiliation or disdain others. And lastly, you must obey every command that emanates from the League of Councils or Chiefs.
Rizal was summoned to Malacanang. Nothing was said at that time about the La Liga Filipina, for it would have revealed the espionage which has been going on, giving the Governor General another excuse to pin on Rizal.
Who is the owner of that roll of pillows and mats in your baggage when you arrive in Manila?
They belong to my sister Lucia.
We have found a package of seditious paper in her belongings. Because of that, I will be sending you to Fort Santiago. My nephew Don Ramon Dispuhol and his aide will take you there.
Rizal was placed in the home of the Commandant D. Ricardo Carnicero. Dapitan was a small pueblo along the west coast of Mindanao Island, a beautiful spot with a slow pace of life. Dapitan was an ideal retirement place, but for Rizal, it was a prison with a beautiful garden, elegant town square, and friendly local people. Dapitan turned out to be a pleasant exile.
This place is beautiful, but it's still my prison. And this place is preventing me from helping my fellow countrymen. Now, I am merely a symbol of peace.
A blind man from Hong Kong in his 60s, George Toffer, brought his adopted daughter Josephine Bracken to Dapitan. Rizal then fell in love.
Are you Dr. Jose Rizal?
Yes, I am.
This is my father, George Topher.
And you are...
I am Josephine Bracken.
Pleasure to meet you.
The trial of Jose Rizal began 40 days before his execution with a preliminary investigation. The investigator was Colonel Francisco Olive.
Do you know Pio Valenzuela? Are you relatives? Are you friendly or unfriendly in terms? Do you consider him a suspicious character?
Well, Pio brought me a patient with an eye trouble, but I haven't known him before. But I considered him as a friend in the view of the courtesies he made to my family from the voyage from Manila. But he even brought me a gift, a portable medicine chest.
Do you know Antonio Salazar?
I have bought a pair of shoes from Bazaar, said to be owned by Salazar, but I did not know him personally, nor did I know his name was Antonio.
Do you know the brothers Alejandro and Venancio Reyes who own a tailoring shop in Escolta?
I had a schoolmate named Reyes, who owned a tailoring shop in that street where I had a suit made. But we're not personal friends.
The investigator then mentioned 21 other names, asking the same questions as in the case of Pio Valenzuela. The majority of the individuals mentioned were unknown to Rizal. In most cases, he had not even heard of them and did not know them personally. Upon reaching Manila, Rizal was confined in Fort Santiago. He began to be subjected to a preliminary investigation without benefit of counsel or the right to confront his accusers. The trial of Rizal was conducted from the prosecution view that he was associated with the Katipunan. He was formally charged with the crime of rebellion and the crime of forming illegal associations.
While you are in Madrid, you founded an association of Filipinos which supported the subversive newspaper La Solidaridad.
It is false that I founded the Spanish-Philippine Association. It had been in existence long before I went to Madrid.
You are one of the leaders of the Philippine Masonry and sent Pedro Serrano back to the archipelago to organize lodges for the purpose of disseminating subversive propaganda.
It is false that I gave Serrano orders to introduce Masonry in the Philippines. Serrano had a higher degree than I had.
You wrote the statutes of the Liga and sent Moises Salvador to the Philippines to organize it.
The Liga never became active, for it died when I was banished. If it was reorganized 9 months after, I had known nothing about it.
You are the honorary president of the Katipunan, which was the same thing as the Liga.
I know nothing of the Katipunan, nor do I have any relations or correspondence with them. I don't even know Andres Bonifacio, even by name.
It cannot be denied that Rizal's defense is more sufficient to raise a reasonable doubt as to his guilt. He was fighting for his life, convinced of his own innocence.
Okay lang yan.
February 17, 1872, three priests was executed for inciting
You're doing it good! Keep it up! You're doing it good! You're doing it good!
Two, three, action!
On the night of Rizal's arrival in Manila, Rizal met distinguished leaders including Apolinario Mabini.
Action! Action!
Who is the owner of that roll of pillows and mats with your baggage? Baggage.
Darit mo po, naman kaya kami.
Governor General, Rizal is still a Filipino citizen.
Bueno! Charge him with the anti-religious.
Rizal eres culpable por campañas anti-patriotas.